Welcome back. It's us again, right?
Right.
Yes. Today we're going to talk about the 5 essential elements with CrossFit. John and I hone in or talk a lot about midline bracing, midline stability, but that is obviously key to anything we do in CrossFit, anything that we do in and outside the gym. So number 1 on the list is midline stability. It's bracing that spine, making sure that you're in a good position to squat, deadlift, press things above your head, things like that. Second is...
And not only is that important for it's important for a couple of things. One is to keep you safe because we want that spine to stay straight. The last thing that we want is any type of a nerve injury or a spinal injury, so that's really important from there. But the other thing to think about as an athlete is that's going to make you more efficient. If your nerves are all lined up and your spine is lined up the way it's supposed to, you're going to be a much more efficient athlete, and that's really important as you look to do PRs and as you try to improve your performance and things like that. So we really want those good habits to be ingrained.
The second point that we want to bring up is the posterior chain. So when we get new athletes into our gym, they tend to be very quad dominant. When they start to squat, legs and stuff will start coming forward, and that's how they tend to squat. So we're trying to create new movement patterns for athletes when they come in here is by recruiting the posterior chain. That includes the hamstrings and basically your glute muscles. And as John talked about, as an athlete standpoint, this will make you stronger, faster, more powerful. It obviously will keep you safer too, even keeping the midline stable too.
And this is really important to making our knees last and things like that. When we're forward, we're always using the front of the legs, and we need to have muscle balance. So we need to have the front of the legs to be not stronger than the back of the legs. So it's really important that we have really strong hamstrings. If you see people that have hamstring injuries and things like that, generally it's because the front of the leg is so much stronger in bringing the leg forward this way. To get that opposing contraction through the hamstring, we have to have as much strength through there. So by getting back makes us much more powerful. It also makes us better at driving through our heels, which is important. Going upstairs, picking up loads, things like that, increases our sense of balance.
The next part of it is active shoulders. And the key thing about active shoulders is that you don't have to have it back in military style like that. It's just basically creating a little bit of separation in between like your collarbones, if you want to think about that way. Keeping your shoulders back and active also helps you maintain midline stability, keeps your head more of a neutral position, more of a rounded shoulder forward. It's harder to get into positions better, faster, quicker. Wouldn't you agree?
Mm-hmm. The other part with that active shoulder is that overhead position. This is not an active shoulder position, and if I were to receive a load or lift a load here, my shoulder's not in a good position. It's rotated forward. But if I get into an active shoulder position here, now I'm stacked. So when we're talking about a jerk or a clean, or a snatch or an overhead load, I'm here, that shoulder is back. I recently saw a Facebook comment on one of our athletes when they were in overhead position, and someone who didn't know anything about it said, "Oh, is that safe on your shoulders?" Well, if we have this good active position, that is safe on my shoulders because my shoulder's back in the socket where it's supposed to be. I'm stacked up. But if I'm here and I'm trying to hold that load out here in an unactive position, now I'm not in a good position with my shoulder. So again, we're teaching those fundamental positions to get into. And this is a challenging position for a lot of people from a mobility standpoint, but this is much better there.
The next point that we want to bring up is range of motion. Joints are happy, they're healthy when they go through a full range of motion. So if you ever walk into our gym and you see us pressing things above our head, as John just demonstrated, we don't ever stop short in this position here. First of all, it's not active shoulders, but it's not through a full range of motion. Up here's through a full range of motion. When we're squatting, it's full depth down to the bottom of our squat, full range of motion all the way up top. Not only is full range of motion awesome for your joints, but it's also rehabilitative. For some athletes, when they come in, it takes them a while to get their joints and their body to move through a full range of motion, but over work and time, that will occur. Anything you want to add?
No, let's begin.
And the last thing with the five essential elements is just basically working core to extremity. I'm going to let you touch on this.
Okay, core to extremity means basically we need to start with a good solid base before we worry about anything else. My favorite example is when you see a pitcher throw a baseball. They're going to initiate everything through their core, which our core we think of as high power, low speed muscles. So I don't get a lot of speed, but I get a lot of power. Then I'm going to transfer through to my shoulder and my upper arm, which are kind of medium speed, medium power, and then that strength goes to a fast speed, low power muscle like my extensors. So in order to throw a baseball as fast as I can, I need to start with that base. So I start with that core. A lot of people say, like, well, we don't do a lot of core work, a lot of ab work. Well, every single thing that we do is core. And that's why when you see the CrossFit Games athletes, they have these just amazing cores because everything we do, all the movements that we do are core to extremity. So if you lack core strength when you start, know that that's going to come and that's going to make everything easier. And it's also going to make your body a much more efficient, smoother running machine to do the things that we want to do in everyday life. So that's why we do the core to extremity.
Baseball analogy. I like that. I do. Last with this part of this lecture, we're talking about benchmark workouts. And in CrossFit, they have found workouts that have proven that you can measure your progress over time, whether it be speed, power, the amount of weight that you lift. The first part of it is they're called the girls. They are named after tropical storms, hurricanes that have actually occurred throughout the U.S. or the world.
Mm-hmm.
So common ones are Fran, Helen, Karen,
Isabel, Grace. Yep, they all have
Katrina
names like
yet,
that.
things
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
But, and then we have the next group that are called Hero Wads, and those are named after fallen veterans, police officers, firefighters, things of that sort. So the girls tend to be a little bit shorter in duration. Really, the intensity is really picked up. The Hero Wads tend to be
A little tougher.
a little bit
Yep.
tougher, a little bit more grueling, a grinder, things like that.
Yep. And these come up, these are about the only workouts we really repeat with any regularity, and I would say only twice a year. And that's going to be a measurement. You're going to say, hey, I took 15 minutes off my Fran time. Or this time I did regular pull-ups in Fran instead of jumping pull-ups. So those are workouts that we can look at and, again, give us a measure on how we increase. Because remember, we measure our results through times and things like that, so we need to repeat some of those workouts to see where we're at.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Thanks.
All right, skills for today, we're going to go over our the med ball clean, the barbell clean, and the wall ball. So we're going to start with med ball clean today. It's going to be similar start and setup to what we had with the deadlift that you did last week. And Darcy's going to use this as what we call a medicine ball, if you're not familiar with those. They vary in weight from 6 pounds all the way up to 25 is what we have here. They have a little bit bigger ones as well. But you'll be starting with a fairly small one. And the medicine ball is a fantastic way to learn how to do cleans because it's the exact same motion that we're going to use with the barbell, except it's an odd object. So it actually is a little bit more functional than just what a barbell is. So we're going to take you through that real quick. And then I'm going to also show you what it looks like to do a barbell clean. So Darcy's going to set up with the wall ball, and she's going to actually get her feet on either side of that medicine ball, just like we did with the deadlift. So when she starts, she's going to make sure that her shin stays as vertical as possible, so as up and down as possible. So I'm not going to get those knees forward, and that's going to also translate to when we start using the barbell. If my knees come forward and I've got the barbell there, I'm actually going to have to pull the barbell around my knees. So I want to stay back. We also, remember, we want to use posterior chain. So by staying back on our heels, she's going to make sure that she's using that. So the setup for that is going to be hips back. She's got that chest up and her butt is down. So she's not bending over at the hips to pick that up. She's got her chest up. We actually call this the angry gorilla position. So if she were to beat on her chest, she looks like an angry gorilla. So that's a good way to think about that. So she's got that set up. If she had a logo on her shirt, we'd be able to read that. Her shins are vertical and her arms are straight. So that's the setup. Go ahead and relax, Darcy. From there, it's going to be exactly like the deadlift. So she's going to pick that straight up and get that ball right to the top of the knees. So it's from here to the top of the knee. And from here is where kind of all the magic happens. When you get started, we're going to have you be a hang cleaner, which means the hang position means that the object is between the knee and the hip. That's going to be the start position. But the deadlift is the med ball clean is a good way to kind of learn that transition. So she's going to get to the top of the knee. From here, she's going to get her torso upright with her knees still bent. So she's going to get to here, and what that does is now it allows a straight bar path. It also allows her to keep that that weight right in the middle of her center of gravity. So if she gets that out in front of her, like this, out over her front, away from her center of gravity, now she's going to feel that through her back and through her shoulders, not going to be nearly as comfortable. So that barbell's going to, or that weight is going to stay right up through here. So when she gets her chest back, she's there. Now her knees are still bent, so her chest goes back, and now she's going to extend her hips. So now she's going to come into full hip extension. That's where that posterior chain's going to kick up. That's where we're going to get some speed on that ball. So that's the second step. So we've got chest up, hips extend, and from there she's going to take her elbows high and outside. Okay, and again, that's going to keep that weight right within her center of gravity. We don't want to go this way, okay, because that's going to be using small muscles to do big muscle work. So we want those elbows to come up nice and high. And then from there, she's going to think about pulling herself under the ball. So as she pulls up, it's not just pulling the ball up. She's going to pull herself down, and she's going to descend in the bottom of her squat and catch that ball right here in the front. And now she's in that good front squat position. This would be her front rack, and then she's going to stand all the way up. So let's go through that step by step real quick. So she's going to get into her setup position. She's going to go to the top of her knee. She's going to get her chest up, extend her hips, elbows high and outside, drop underneath the ball, stand up. Now, this is one of the things that people really struggle with at first because it's a lot of steps and it's a lot of different things to do. It's okay. The repetitions, we're going to have you using a small medicine ball and have you go over repetitions over and over and over again. Darcy, why don't you give us about 5 of those so people can kind of see. Okay, and if she uses a little more speed, she can tuck under that ball as she's pulling it up. There you go. And she's still getting full hip extension. That's a really good medicine ball. Fantastic. All right, let's roll that ball over here for now. I'm going to give Darcy the PVC pipe.
Not done yet.
And now we're going to do some hang clean. Okay, so this is going to be the exact same thing. So when we start having you pick up a barbell, we're going to start you in the hang position. So we've already taught you deadlift. We're going to have you deadlift that bar up to the top of the knee. Now she's in the exact same position. She's going to start at the top of the knee. First thing she's going to do is bring her chest up. Now she's going to extend her hips. Arms high and outside. And now in a power clean, what we did with the squat is called the squat clean. In a power clean, she's just going to just rebend her knees and drive those elbows under and then wind up in her front rack position. And then remember that front rack position, that bar's right up against the neck, bar's sitting on the meaty parts of her shoulders, and her elbows are nice and high. So the exact same thing with a power clean that we did with the med ball. So it translates itself very well. We'll have the barbell class to teach you those, so don't worry about picking that all up today, but at least you're familiar with what we've got. And if you want to go back and watch that part again, that's great. So that's cleans.
Awesome. Wall balls is everybody's favorite exercise. So as John just went over the med ball clean, the movement process with the wall ball is actually quite similar. It's actually quite similar as to the thruster. So with the wall ball, when we start, we're going to a little bit wider stance, obviously to accommodate the object. We are going to start down, basically position away from the wall. Thank you, John. It's about a good arm length away. It's going to vary from person to person, just depending on how comfortable you feel. There's no magic science to it. Whatever works for you is going to work, and we'll tweak it from there. He's going to start down in the bottom. You can actually med ball clean it up, or you can start down in the bottom, basically at his squat position here. Notice the ball is here. The ball is not down here by his stomach. When that ball starts transitioning down to the lower part of your abdomen or down through here, it actually starts changing the dynamic of the movement. Your low back becomes a lever, not a stability joint. And you will find that out after doing so many wall balls. They will fatigue pretty fast. What we're looking for here is that violent hip extension up. So he's going to explode out at the bottom of that squat. That is what's going to propel the ball up the wall. So just like when you think about the thruster, you're down the bottom of that squat, and when you do that full hip extension, that's what you're looking to propel that barbell up. Same thing with the wall ball. So when he comes out the bottom of his squat, hip extension up, he's going to go ahead and come up, hip extension, and the ball is going to be tossed up just like that. I'll go over the catch in just a second. So violent hip extension, basically your arms are guiding the movement of that bar. You're not basically lifting or doing a toss-up. Notice how when the ball is up there, it glides against the wall. You're not throwing against the wall. or catching it low. When he catches the ball on the return, he catches it basically down by his face, right back down to the bottom part of the squat, and right back up. Key points, catching the ball high. I use my chin as a third point. Honestly, when I do that, it keeps my chest up. It keeps me back on my heels. When I notice that my low back starts becoming a lever, it's because I'm starting to catch the ball down here. It's literally just catching the ball right up here. Keeping your head neutral. So what I usually do with this, is one of the key things, because necks do tend to get tired, is kind of keeping your head neutral and just following the ball up and down with your eyes. And make sure, this is an awesome, awesome movement. It's an awesome, I love wall balls. It is posterior chain. It is all about getting your butt back, driving through those heels, up through your hamstrings and your glutes. That's your powerhouse. Your arms are really just guiding the movement to throw the ball up there and to basically catch it.
Yep, common fault is coming forward on your toes. So we would not be using our posterior chain. So it would be this. That's hard to do.
Basically, the heels come up. And this is where we talk about that just creating their default movement patterns. And people come up, they will be on their toes, but once they get accustomed to being back on their heels, it becomes.
So I'm going to show you two. The first is bad, second is good, so you can see the difference. So this would be coming forward. My heels come off the floor. Here's good. Back. You can see how I've got my rear end engaged, things like that. Another common fault that we see is people's knees coming in like this when they get in. So we want to make sure that those knees stay on that outside edge of the foot.
Awesome. Also with wall balls, you'll see there's different markings on the wall up here. Women actually throw to a 9-foot target, men throw to a 10-foot target. And they're marked on the walls. Awesome. Thanks.
All right.